Hey everyone, and welcome back to Talk Tickers,
Glad to be back.
where we do a deep dive into earnings calls. And today we have, this one's a really interesting one.
It is a very interesting one.
Mobileye's Q4 2024 earnings call.
Yeah.
And we always like to jump right into the numbers first
Let's do it.
and then kind of back out from there.
See what the story is.
See what the story that the numbers are telling us is and see if that matches what management is saying and
Well,
kind
if
of,
they line up.
yeah,
Yeah.
if there's anything that's out of place.
Right.
So revenue for the quarter came in at $458 million.
That's down 23% year over year.
Which on its face sounds kind of scary.
Yeah, but it's not as bad as it looks.
Right. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Is that I think if you just look at the numbers in a vacuum, you're going to get the wrong impression here.
Yeah, remember all that inventory buildup we had in the first half of 24?
Right.
It's still kind of working its way through the system.
Yeah. And they even mentioned that in the call. So
Yeah.
that makes me feel a little bit better about that because I was a little concerned about that. But I'm curious, though.
Yeah.
With revenue down 23%, what does that do to profitability?
Well, they actually had a pretty healthy operating margin of 21% this quarter,
Okay.
which is almost 5 percentage points higher than Q3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then they closed out the year with $400 million in operating cash flow,
Okay.
which is basically flat compared to 2023.
So financially, they seem to be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, they seem to be navigating this pretty well.
Okay. Now that's just, that's the overall picture.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the really big things
Yeah.
from this call is what is happening in China.
Yeah, China's such a wild card right now.
Right. And they exceeded expectations in the second half of 2024 in China.
Which, I mean, who would have thought with everything going on over there?
Right.
Geopolitically and economically,
Yeah.
they crushed it.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what was it about their China business that did so well?
Their OEM partners over there were really the driving force.
Now, OEM partners, can you just break that down a little bit?
Yeah, so those are the companies that actually manufacture the vehicles.
Okay, so the ones who are actually building the car.
Exactly.
Okay.
So these are the folks who are actually putting Mobileye's tech into the vehicles that hit the road.
Got it.
So they saw, really strong demand from those OEMs in China.
But so are they, how are they factoring that into guidance for next year,
Well, that's the thing.
for 2025?
Even with all the success, they're still being pretty cautious in their 2025 guidance for China.
Okay.
They're saying limited visibility in the region,
Yeah. I mean,
which, fair enough.
right, it's like, who knows?
Who knows what's going to happen?
But it sounds like their success over there is at least partially because it's automakers that are exporting.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, these are companies that are selling cars not just within China,
Oh.
but internationally too.
So they're not as exposed to maybe some of the
Exactly.
Chinese.
They've got that global reach,
Okay.
which helps a lot.
Now, shifting gears a little bit.
Yeah.
They talked a lot about their ADS and AD technology.
Yeah.
And the fact that they don't think it's going to be ready
By 2027.
for widespread adoption by 2027.
Big year for Mobileye, 2027.
Yeah, and that kind of goes along with what some other folks are saying, but that's a pretty aggressive timeline.
It is ambitious.
Yeah.
But they seem confident, and it's not just them.
Right.
Legacy automakers are feeling the heat from companies like Tesla.
Oh, yeah. Definitely Tesla's the 800-pound gorilla in the
Mm-hmm.
room. So, I mean, are we going to see... So what are, the key things to look out for if they're going to hit this 2027 target?
Yeah, keep an eye on their next-gen products,
Okay.
especially the ones being developed with the Volkswagen Group.
Oh, right.
Yeah, those are going to production starting in 2026.
Okay.
So that puts them right on track for that 2027 goal.
So is that more of their ADs or is that their full self-driving?
It's both, actually. They're working on advancements in their supervision system,
Okay.
which is like the next level of driver assistance,
Got it.
and their chauffeur system,
Yeah, yeah.
which is aiming for that full self-driving capability.
Got it.
So they're really tackling both ends of the spectrum.
Okay, so they're covering all their bases.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about, this was something that really kind of stuck out to me
Mm-hmm.
in the call. And I actually hadn't thought about this until they brought it up.
Okay.
But they talk a lot about their emphasis on efficiency when it comes to AI development.
Right.
And they
contrast it with the brute force approach of some of their competitors.
Right. And what do they mean by that?
They're saying that that bigger isn't always better when it comes to AI.
Right.
Their competitors often rely on massive data sets and tons of computational power.
Yeah.
Think supercomputers on wheels, basically, to develop their self-driving systems.
But yeah, Mobileye saying, no, we don't
We don't need all that.
need to do that.
Right. We're going to do it smarter, not harder.
Right. And so how are they doing
Yeah.
that?
So they focus on creating these highly specialized AI models
Okay.
that are fine-tuned for the specific tasks involved in driving.
So instead of just kind of
Right.
throwing as much data as you can at the problem,
Exactly.
you're saying,
Can
let's
be more selective,
be really targeted with this.
more strategic with our AI development.
Okay, and this also extends to their hardware as well,
Exactly.
particularly the IQ6 chip.
The IQ6 chip.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. Why is this such a big deal?
So they claim it can achieve impressive performance while using a much smaller amount of silicon,
Okay.
which is a key component in these chips.
Got it.
And a smaller silicon area means a more cost-effective and power-efficient chip, which is kind of huge in an industry where everyone's focused on just like cramming as much computing power as possible into these things, right? It's like bigger, better, faster.
Exactly. And they're like, hold on a second. Maybe there's a smarter way to do this.
Yeah, and so, I mean, is actually working.
Well, they shared some benchmarks during the call, and it's pretty impressive.
Okay, like what kind of benchmarks are we talking?
So they compared the IQ6 to some of the other leading high-performance chips out there.
Okay, head to head.
Yeah. And guess what?
What happened?
The IQ6 actually outperformed the competition in key areas.
No way.
Yeah, especially when it came to running complex AI models like convolutional nets and transformers.
Wow, and those are super important for like,
Essential, yeah, for processing all that visual data you need for self-driving.
right.
So it's not just theoretical, they're actually seeing real-world results,
Yeah, it's not just talk. They're actually, showing that
putting their money where their mouth is.
this different way of doing things is actually working.
Exactly.
And do you think that's going to catch on? Do you think other companies are going to start kind of
It's a good question, right?
moving away from just like throwing as much computing power
The brute force method.
at the problem as possible?
Right.
It'll be interesting to see if this is kind of like a
trend shift.
paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's super interesting.
Yeah.
But also, it's important to remember that they're not just
Right.
like a chip company.
They're not just some AI lab. Yeah.
Right. They're very much embedded
In the automotive industry.
in the automotive industry.
Working with the companies that are building the cars we'll be driving.
Right. And they're working with legacy automakers who are really feeling the pressure from,
From Tesla.
yeah.
Yeah, Tesla's really putting the squeeze on them.
I mean, it's got to be
Mhm.
kind of a wake-up call for some of these.
Yeah, if you haven't fully embraced this shift towards self-driving,
Yeah.
you're falling behind
We're in trouble.
big time.
So Mobileye is kind of like their saving grace.
In a way, yeah.
These legacy car companies that are
They're the bridge.
trying to catch up.
Yeah, they've got the experience, the tech, the partnerships.
Right.
They can help those legacy automakers bridge that gap.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
speaking of that gap,
Yeah.
and China,
Uh-huh.
we talked about how they're having a lot of success there,
Mm-hmm.
but also they're being, pretty cautious,
Rightfully so.
rightfully so.
Yeah.
So what was it specifically about? Like what kinds of
Yeah.
Chinese automakers were they?
It seems like they're finding success with those who have a strong export focus.
Oh, okay.
So these are companies that are selling cars not just within China,
Right.
but to international markets.
Okay.
So they're choosing to partner with Mobileye because their tech is globally recognized.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And they've got a proven track record.
Especially with
Yeah.
the potential for more restrictions coming in the future.
Right, exactly. You've got to think about those potential tech restrictions some Western markets might impose. Partnering with Mobileye helps them kind of mitigate those risks.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of smart on the part of the Chinese automakers.
It's a strategic move.
Yeah. So what are the risks then for Mobileye in China? What are they?
Well, they acknowledge the volatility of that market.
Sure.
Things can change quickly.
Of course.
And they're taking a pretty conservative approach in their guidance for 2025.
Okay.
They're anticipating a slight decline in unit volume compared to the second half of 24.
Okay, so they're not
getting complacent.
too excited.
Exactly. It's like hope for the best, but prepare for the worst kind of thing.
Yeah, and that kind of echoes
Mm-hmm.
the sentiment for their overall guidance, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what is the overall
Their financial guidance?
2025 guidance?
Yeah, they're projecting revenue of around $1.75 billion.
Okay.
Which is about a 6% year-over-year growth.
Not bad, especially in this economy.
Yeah, not too shabby.
And what about profitability? Are they Are they saying that they're going to maintain those healthy margins?
They are. They actually anticipate their adjusted operating income to grow by more than 10%.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they're being really smart about where they're investing,
It's working.
and it seems to be paying off.
Okay, now what about
Mhm.
the chips, the IQ chips? What are they
Yeah, the heart of the business.
what are they thinking for shipments next year?
So they're projecting IQ volumes in the range of 32 to 34 million units.
Wow. So pretty strong demand.
Yeah, still expecting strong demand for that core product. But
But there's a but.
there's always a but.
There's always a but. Yeah, they are factoring in a roughly 7% decline in production volumes from their core OEM customers.
So why is that?
They mentioned a few things.
Okay.
The possibility of slowing global auto sales, ongoing supply chain disruptions, the usual suspects.
Right, so they're being a little bit cautious there, but it's probably better to,
Better to be safe than sorry.
underestimate than overestimate. Exactly.
Okay, so now want to shift gears just a little bit again because
Okay.
they talked about something that I thought was really interesting, but they only briefly touched on it.
All right.
And I'm curious to see kind of where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
But they hinted at
Yeah.
expanding their computer vision technology
Oh, beyond cars
beyond just cars.
into other markets,
Right.
like robotic.
Robotics, that's crazy.
Yeah, they were being pretty coy about it.
Yeah.
But it's clear they're thinking about how this tech can be applied more broadly.
I mean, it makes sense.
Right, huh?
Because their technology is not just about,
It's not just about recognizing cars and pedestrians. It's
Mhm.
about understanding the visual world.
right.
And that has applications everywhere.
Yeah. I mean,
Think about Mobileye power robots working in factories,
right.
warehouses, hospitals,
Lots of,
automating tasks, improving efficiency, even assisting humans in dangerous environments.
that's kind of, are we getting a little ahead of ourselves here? I mean,
Maybe
it sounds super cool, but they haven't actually announced any plans for this, right?
not concrete plans now.
No, this is all just kind of
Speculation for now.
speculation. Yeah,
But it's fun to think about the possibilities,
it is.
especially given Mobileye's track record.
Right.
They're not afraid to aim high.
Okay, so back down to earth for a second.
Right.
We've got to talk about
Yeah.
this 2027
The big one.
widespread adoption
Full autonomy, baby.
of autonomous driving.
Yeah.
Is that actually realistic?
Well, it's a bold vision, no doubt.
Sure.
They've got a lot of hurdles to clear.
Right, like what?
I mean, the industry's moving fast, competition's fierce, technology's advancing at a crazy pace.
And then there's the whole regulatory side of things.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other can of worms.
Right, like this is still
It's the Wild West out there.
new territory for a lot of people and governments.
Governments, regulators, everybody's trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they actually, what are they doing to try to address this?
Well, it seems like they're tackling it head on.
Okay.
They've got the talent, the technology, the partnerships.
Okay.
They're in a good position to make this happen.
So for our listeners out there who are thinking about,
Mm-hmm.
Mobileye, maybe investing in Mobileye,
Yeah.
what's the big takeaway here?
I think the big takeaway is that Mobileye is a major player in this space.
Okay.
They're positioning themselves as a leader in the race to full autonomy. They've got a strong track record of innovation. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
But of course, this is not
Not financial advice.
financial advice.
Do your own research, folks.
Do your own research, make your own decisions.
Assess your risk tolerance.
But let's have a little fun.
Let's speculate a little.
This is not financial advice
All right.
segment.
Hit me with it.
So
Yeah.
we talked about how they're hinting at expanding into robotics, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What if they go all in on that
Okay.
and spin off their robotics division into a separate publicly traded company?
Ooh, a Mobileye Robotics IPO.
Mobileye Robotics. That would,
Investors would be all over that.
I mean, think about the potential there.
Huge
A
potential.
pure play robotics company
With Mobileye's backing.
backed by Mobileye.
That could be a blockbuster.
And it would allow Mobileye to really focus on
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Your core business, the automotive stuff.
The automotive stuff, which is already
Just killing it.
doing great.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a win-win.
Win-win for everybody.
But what if,
Okay, take it a step further.
take it a step further,
I like where this is going.
and shortly after that spinoff,
Mm-hmm.
they announce a strategic partnership
Between the two companies.
between the two companies.
Mobileye and Mobileye Robotics.
Right.
working together to develop even more advanced solutions.
So you're talking about
Yeah,
like self-driving cars
that can interact with their surroundings in a whole new way.
that can, I don't know, like park themselves in a tight space,
Retrieve packages from your doorstep.
help you with groceries.
We're talking next level autonomy here.
Okay, so we maybe getting into like
Science fiction territory now.
science fiction territory.
Hey, it's fun to dream.
It is. It is fun to dream.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is not financial advice
There you go.
for the day.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
any final thoughts on Mobileye?
Yeah, I mean, they're a force to be reckoned with. They're not just riding the wave, they're shaping it
And they're not afraid to,
to take risks, to push boundaries.
right, like whether they hit this 2027 target or not,
Exactly.
they're definitely a company
A
worth
company to watch.
watching.
For sure.
Okay. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Talk Tickers.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for joining us
We'll be back next week with another deep dive.
into the world of earnings calls.
So until then, stay curious.
You know what? Before we move on from this completely, I want to go back to that robotics spin-off idea one more time.
Okay.
Because I
It's a juicy one.
can't stop thinking about it.
I know.
What if, so we have Mobileye Robotics, right? Fresh off the IPO, everyone's excited. What if they make a strategic acquisition?
Oh, okay. Who are they going after?
Who's out there
Yeah.
that could really like boost
I could really take them to the next level.
their presence in the robotics world?
Yeah.
What about Boston Dynamics?
Whoa, okay. Now you're talking.
You know, those robots that can like,
The ones that can do backflips and parkour. Yeah, the ones that freak everybody out.
yeah.
Yeah, those guys.
But what if you combine that
Mm-hmm.
with Mobileye's computer vision?
Think about it.
I mean, that would be.
You've got Mobileye's vision, Boston Dynamics hardware, and movement expertise.
So not only can they see, they can understand their environment, but they can move like.
They can move with incredible agility and precision. It's a whole new level of robotics.
So you're talking robots that could.
Navigate complex terrains, perform intricate tasks, interact with humans.
Like construction, agriculture.
Healthcare, disaster relief.
I mean, that is.
We're talking about a revolution in automation here.
Okay, I'm getting a little too hyped up over this.
It's exciting to think about.
I know, but this is all, of course, just
Pure speculation.
pure speculation.
We're just having fun with it.
But it is fun.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes to show that.
Mobileye is not a company that stands still.
Right.
They're constantly innovating. They're always looking for the next big thing.
And that's what makes them so exciting.
Exactly. They're not just playing the game, they're changing the game.
Yeah, so this has been
In a wild ride.
a really, really interesting deep dive
Yeah.
into Mobileye.
Mobileye's a company at the forefront of a technological revolution.
Okay.
They're financially sound, they're pushing the boundaries, and they're not afraid to take risks.
They're a company worth watching.
Absolutely. Their journey is going to be one for the history books.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for this episode of Talk Tickers.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
See you next week.
Keep learning, keep exploring.